As Nigerians await a fixed date for the appeal raised by Governor Ademola Adeleke, the People's Democratic Party and the Independent National Electoral Commission, the intrigues and revelations surrounding the tribunal's majority judgment is beginning to have some twists and turns. Delivering judgment on January 27, the tribunal chairman held that there was overvoting in some units. However, Mr. Adeleke and the PDP in their separate notices of appeal argue that the judgment contained errors in law. INEC, according to a notice of appeal filed by its counsel, Paul Ananaba, also challenged the judgment, listing 44 grounds on which the tribunal judgment should be set aside. The judgment, however, raised questions about the reliability of the bimodal voter authentication system, BVAS machine. With elections coming in few days, the reliability of BVAS machine must be analyzed. The current doubt, if not cleared, portends serious risk for our democracy. Joining us now from our Abuja studio to discuss the questions around reliability of BVAS machine using Osun tribunal judgment as a case study is Tolu Oderinde, a tech lawyer. Good morning, Ms. Oderinde, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Osun elections. The dust has not settled yet. The state government has gone to court. Governor Yetola has gone to court. INEC has gone to court. But at the center of all of this is BVAS and the challenge of overvoting. Now, you have been described as a tech lawyer. I don't know whether you were part of the matter. What is the status of the matter now before the Court of Appeal? Has a date been chosen? And how reliable, using Osun as case study, is BVAS, which is also going to be the main instrument for the election in 5 days' time as Nigerians go to the polls?
All right, sir. I am aware that notices of appeal has been filed and we're waiting a date for the hearing. With regards to the reliability of the BVAS machine, if I may, in my humble opinion, state that the problem is not with the BVAS machine per se, it's with the reports generated from the backend servers. And if I may give some context to this bifurcation. So the BVAS machine is what is taken into the field on the day of the election. And then information, data is transmitted from the field to the backend servers. And as we know, there are a myriad of issues that affect transmission of information real time in Nigeria. And that includes electricity, that includes network issues, software updates, hardware upgrades, and system glitches naturally. I mean, if I may give an analogy that many of us can relate to, I have money in my account, I want to send money to another person. I have sent this money, I have been debited. I can see it on my phone that I have been debited, but the other person has not seen, has not gotten the alert, it has not reflected on any of its platform. It's a very similar issue when it comes to transmission from the BVAS machine to the backend server. So just for clarity's sake, in my opinion, it's more of the issues with the BVAS, with the backend servers as opposed to the BVAS machines itself.
Talking about the issues with the backend server, you have done a reliability test using a reliability test BVAS machine as control. What were your findings from this test, especially with regards to the backend server?
So using the Osun State elections as a very good example, what we found was that there was a lag. There was a lag between the information transmitted from the field back to the servers. So what you had is that the reports generated from the server contained very incomplete information at each point it was generated. So the reliability test, the reliability of the BVAS report is mainly determined by the examination of the BVAS machine. So for you to determine how reliable the report of the backend server is, you have to access and analyze the data you elicit from the BVAS machine itself.
Okay, so let's pry deeper into this and this back-end issues. So is it that INEC probably didn't troubleshoot the possibility of the fact that there might be variations in reporting, prior to this time? And what can we do to be able to, mitigate this and get a cohesive, reporting system? And also, can there also be backup, servers, as it were, to this? Because if I understand, the BVAS all extrapolates data into a certain server, and from there it's copied out, through the system and all of that. Is that how it works?
Well, I am not a staff of INEC, so I can't speak to what INEC has done or did do prior to the Osun State election or what they're doing right now. What I can say is that the issue of transmission of information is not unique to INEC servers. It happens all over the world. There are always lags. I'm sure we've experienced that at some point in our lives or the other. There are always lags when it comes to transmission of data, especially real time. So the issues affecting the transmission are things that are cut across all over the world. System upgrades and software updates and things like that. So what we need to do is to have a second layer to confirm the reports, not just rush to rely on a particular report as the final or the Bible, quote and unquote, in any election. What needs to be done is that we have a report generated. We then need to confirm the veracity of the information in that report with the BVAS machine going forward.
Okay, Mr. Oderinde, let me ask you, one other matter in this particular case in Osun is about certificate forgery. What, in your opinion, is exactly the truth, which was referred to in the lead judgment?
Well, if you ask me, I think that in all sense of humility, I think that this issue has been laid to rest by the Court of Appeal in the 2018 Adeleke and Oyetola judgment, when the Court of Appeal held that there was no certificate forgery, there was no testimonial forgery by His Excellency Governor Ademola Adeleke. Now, my analysis of the decision of the tribunal, the majority decision, is that they failed to, guide themselves by the prevailing decisions of the apex courts in cases like APC and Obaseki, APC and Ebeleke, where the courts, demonstrated and, espoused that where there is an allegation of forgery or fraud, the person alleging must, elicit information or evidence that the school or the authorizing agency that produced that document didn't, in fact, issue it. And this was not done at the tribunal. So I wonder exactly how, the issue was, to the best of the tribunal's ability, examined and decided upon, really. But for unequivocally, the Court of Appeal has decided on it at the tribunal. I'm aware that the school, the principal of the school, came forward to explain that, look, Governor Ademola Adeleke did go to the school, but at the time it was in 1980 something, if I remember clearly, and the school in Ede was at the time in Oyo State, not in Osun State as it is now. So that discrepancy was cleared up, and it was indeed clear that, look, there was no instance of forgery. It was a mistake from the school in putting the present situation of the school as Osun State as opposed to Oyo State. So I think that the issue is pretty clear-cut, and there's no need to go back and say that the governor forged anything. The governor did not forge anything. The Court of Appeal is clear on that, and as far as I know, that the issue is the majority of the judgment held that he is qualified, which is the crux of the issue, is qualified to contest.
All right. Okay, so part of the issues around the reliability of the BVAS and also the back-end server reports that was presented in the court case was that the judge ruled that there was overvoting in the reports from the APC and also from the PDP, which he retained, and well, he cancelled the PDP's overvoting whilst he retained the APC's overvoting. Now, this gave rise to him there being a recalculation of the end results and then swinging in the favor of the APC because of the new margins. I'd like you to explain this or break this down to Nigerians, especially because people are now concerned that if the results that are announced by INEC on the day of election is open to scrutiny based on the reliability of BVAS, then there will be a lot of cases like this post-election. So can you break it down for us to understand a bit better, please?
So like I explained earlier, right, the reports came in trickles. It's just like you're gathering information in bits and pieces. And at every point where the report is generated, the data is incomplete. So the report of the July 29th that was relied on by the tribunal was incomplete, and INEC testified as much in their reply to the petition of the past Governor Utola and the APC. And it is baffling then that the tribunal would then rely on an incomplete document to hold that there was overvoting. But in any case, assuming and without conceding that the BVAS report was reliable and can in fact determine fully the extent of overvoting, it is clear, like you said, that there was overvoting in 774 local government as reported by the tribunal, and then, polling units, and there was overvoting in 1,001 polling units affecting the All Progressives Congress vote. Now, what I would have expected, in my humble opinion, is that the tribunal will cancel the polling units affected across board, not just the one that will seem to affect Governor Ademola Adeleke. So if that happened, what we would find is that they cancelled the votes, where the polling units where there was overvoting in 1001 affecting APC. They cancelled the ones affecting Governor Adeleke in 774. What we will find is that Governor Adeleke will still come out on top with almost 200,000 votes. And I begin to wonder why the tribunal did not direct themselves in this line. Well, you would see in the dissenting judgment of the tribunal that there was a bit of allusion to this point. And I think that going forward, again, let me reiterate, going forward, what should be done is that these reports should be verified by the BVAS machine, and that the BVAS machine is the primary source. Let me go back to that. The BVAS machine is the primary source. Okay. So using the reports to just, determine overvoting, in my honest opinion, in my humble opinion, I do not think is right.
So two things I'd like to interrogate you on. Number one will be, based on this, your integrity test of the BVAS, was there an independent verifiable party to this test? Because since you're speaking, some other people will challenge you that your results based on this BVAS test might be skewed. That's number one. Number two, based on this, your independent test, was there now a specific timeline, a wait time to be able to get all the reports in? Because there should be a sort of like a time frame. Because if you claim that the first report generated was not complete then the other one the PDP generated was complete, then is there like a holistic time frame that we can use based on that? And also, a lot of people will also like to see the raw back-end data, because all of this you've put on the slides are just interpretations. And we know how we write data lines. The raw back-end data of the test that was done, so that other experts too can extrapolate and interpret what was there, and also have very independent body to verify this. And lastly, I'd just like to ask, if this is your defense, why bring it to the public space when you're still going to court?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me first state that I am, like I mentioned, I am not part of the governor's legal team. The governor's legal team has been mentioned, and they're doing their job as they should do. Now, going back to the issue of the reliability test. Now, all the parties prayed the courts for the BVAS machine to be inspected. So the APC, the PDP, and INEC, they inspected the BVAS machines where the overvoting was alleged, and they came to a consensus, which a report was generated and presented before the courts, to say that, look, there was no overvoting in those areas. So as to the independency of it, if the court admitted it and accepted it, I don't believe I'm in any position to determine whether it is independent or not. What is important is that it was before the courts and it formed part of the proceedings of the court.
Hello, are you there?
Can you hear us? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, so I don't even think you got
I can hear you, sir.
I don't think you got my question correctly. So answer, finish it before I react that way, because I was not talking about the independence of the court. I was talking about, independence based on the test you have done. Are there like an independent body to verify, based on this test you have done? That's what I'm just asking. I'm not talking about the independence of the court. The court had upheld one as an independent position, which that's what you're challenging in the other courts now, in the Court of Appeal, as you go on the legal ladder. So I'm saying the independence of this, is there like an independence separate body to verify this? Because it's just a case of two positions, extrapolations here.
So if there is a need for an independent body, like I explained, the three parties in the petition analyzed the BVAS machines. I think, in my opinion, that is as independent as it gets. It's not that one party independent and then produced the results. They jointly inspected and produced their reports. I think that's as independent as it gets.
Anyway, let me ask you. Femi Falana, SAN, has said that the urgent task before the people of Osun State is to sue INEC for wasting their votes, for mismanaging the July 16 election, and that he has his doubts as to whether or not Governor Adeleke will be able to succeed at the appeal court, given the problems that have been created by INEC. He went a step further to say that the mismanagement of the BVAS, were it to happen during the presidential election 5 days from now, could create a crisis of monumental proportion in Nigeria. What do you think? Do you think INEC is as ready as it pledges?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I don't work for INEC. I'm not an agent of INEC in any way. But if I were to interpret the happenings, the events of the Osun State election, what I would say is that there is some work to be done. But as regards the BVAS machine, we need to be able to confirm any report that comes out of the backend server with the BVAS machines. And I think that the BVAS machine works, as has been demonstrated by the courts. It works. We just need to be able to confirm the raw data that comes out from the BVAS machine as the primary source. In that regard, in my humble opinion, I do not think that there is any quote-unquote mismanagement, as the learned silk have read. I just think that we need to be able to be patient enough to be able to confirm whatever report is generated by the backend server together with the BVAS machine and other resources that are available to INEC.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Tolu Oderinde, for joining us on the morning show on this all-important issue of BVAS technology using Osun State case as a case study.